Hello and welcome to the Rankers podcast, where we literally rank anything and everything. Just two best friends ranking it up. My name's Nick.
And my name is Jacob. Let's rank them.
Let's rank them. So we got two best friends as always, but today we are having yet another guest, Mr.
Another one.
Luke Richter. What is up, Luke? How's it going?
What's up?
Good,
Luke.
how are man. Dude, what's up?
Dude, nothing much.
So
great story.
So Luke is connected to Nick. You guys go way back. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, right?
Yeah, we went to Tacoma together. We went to college together. That's where we met. We had a little bit of we never talked actually. It became more of a friendship after college. We started getting a little bit of playing video games together, playing some disc golf together. Luke runs and manages.
We went on a study abroad trip. To get we were in the same study abroad group in Poland and Germany.
Yeah, that is kind of where we exchanged contacts, at least.
That's a weird way of putting it.
Yeah. Hey, bro, what's your phone number? No, but like I was saying, Luke runs and manages a pretty popular disc golf YouTube channel, and so we've been working on that a lot. And he is grinding, and man, it's been a good friendship, and I hope for many more years of it. But today we're here to talk about something very special for both of you guys, and especially Luke. That's why I wanted to bring him on this podcast. We've been talking about this podcast from like when we even started doing these and what we were ranking. I was like, oh, I know as soon as we have this podcast, I know who I'm asking. And that's my man, Luke. And today we are going to be ranking. What is it, Jacob?
We're going to be ranking our top 10 Star Wars characters. So we are doing a Star Wars pod, which it's been a long time coming. When you talk about Star Wars, there are so many different rankings that you could do. So this will not be our last Star Wars podcast, but Luke might be our Star Wars guy. So whatever Star Wars we do, we got to have him back on, because Luke, tell us about your relationship with Star Wars.
Oh man, I'm just a big Star Wars nerd. I grew up, the prequels came out 99, 2002, 2005. So that was like my golden years as a child, just loving. I loved the prequels right when they came out. And so then after that, I watched the originals, which is, a lot of our generation, how it worked.
Yeah.
And I was your classic kid. Like, I dressed up as Darth Vader every year for Halloween. I had lightsabers all the time. I was buying those cheap lightsabers from Walmart. Yeah. I read the books. I follow the scene on just pretty closely. I'm just a big nerd is all. Yeah.
Nice.
And Jacob, obviously this is something that's near and dear for you as well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your Star Wars background as well?
Yeah, so really similar. I kind of have two different relationships with Star Wars. And what I mean is really similar to you, Luke. I had growing up was, we're probably near the same age, give or take a few years. And so the prequels, that was Star Wars to me. So like when I say episode 1, I'm talking about the Phantom Menace. Yeah. But so I talk about the first Star Wars movie, but anybody older than us goes, the original Star Wars is, 1977, which what we know as A New Hope, but they didn't start calling it A New Hope until like the 90s or whatever. But no, I grew up right in that sweet spot. The same thing as you, Luke. Those movies were everything to me. I remember having all 3 of them on VHS.
Yeah.
And dude, I would watch it and I would rewind it. And it was a really big deal. And then kind of like you, I do remember from a young age watching the original 3, but not being as interested in them as I was with the prequels. But I do remember watching them. And then kind of what I said at the beginning, my other relationship with Star Wars is kind of been really recent, because over the past, I've always loved movies, but over the past like 10 years or so, I've like fallen in love with film and like the actual like making of movies. And it's one of my biggest hobbies is I love film and all that kind of stuff. And Star Wars is such a pivotal movie for
Oh,
film.
absolutely. For film, yeah, I'm also just a big movie nerd, but film and storytelling is something like that I've gotten into. The older I get, the more I just appreciate how well narratives and stories can be shown and told. And the story, the overarching like narrative, meta narrative and story of Star Wars is just one of the best stories out there. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, but also what it did for technology and what it did for the advancement of film.
Oh yeah, Lucas was a pioneer.
Yeah,
and continued most of a lot of what we have in movies today is because of George Lucas like pushing the boundaries. Of what they used.
So Nick, you don't care about Star Wars.
Well, I will say I'm very, very, very basic and minimal when it comes to Star Wars. I attempted this list and I got a couple into it and I was like, I'm going to have no idea what I'm talking about on this podcast. And it's going to be quite obvious pretty quickly. So my goal for today is just kind of to facilitate and gain some insight, of course, and then also just kind of stop and ask you guys some fun questions along the way. But yeah, so I mean, my background with Star Wars is really, again, like I said, minimal. I've seen the movies. I couldn't tell you maybe half of what's going on. Honestly, I think one of the main reasons I haven't really dug deep into Star Wars is because I'm confused half the time. While what you guys just talked about, appreciating what the movies do as far as film goes and the cinematics of just how Star Wars is, it really is fantastic for sure. And I definitely appreciate what's going on. But as far as the narrative, I don't know what's going on. But I don't know, maybe I'll dig deeper into it one day, or maybe this will launch me further into it. But for today, I'm excited to listen to you guys.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's going to be really fun. So just really quick, one little note before we get into the list. So we are ranking, me and Luke are going to rank our top 10 Star Wars characters. And we are not just exclusively for the films. So these characters can be in like the newer TV shows that have come out, or I guess you could do like
all of canon.
Yeah, basically all of canon.
I don't think I picked any real like they're only in books characters, but most of the books aren't canon anymore, anyways. But
right, and so the main point was just not exclusively to film, to the 9 movies in the saga, and so that's really the only note, though. I mean, we're gonna get into this thing and we're gonna run through it. So I'm stoked. If you're ready, I'm ready, Luke.
I'm ready.
Are you guys both up to date, like on Mandalorian and what's playing on Disney Plus these days?
Nick, what kind of question is that?
What's the most recent one? Oh, Boba Fett.
I have not watched Boba Fett yet.
You haven't watched Boba Fett? Oh, dude, man,
there's so many shows.
That pronunciation.
There's so many shows that I have to watch, man. I will say though, speaking of that, and I meant to say this up front, but this is releasing on May 27th, which as of this release date, Obi-Wan is coming out. And so this is a big day for Star Wars fans.
Is it a movie?
Well. No, the show. Okay, I got it. This is how the whole pod is going to be. Nick is just going to piss Luke off with all of his Star Wars jokes.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's pretty accurate. This is similar to our friendship anyways.
All right, I'm excited. Let's do this thing. Nick, you got anything for us before we start?
No, I figured we'd jump right into it and then I'll pop in whenever I want to. But as always, our guest, Mr. Luke Richter, lead us off.
Yes. So I'll give a just slight disclaimer about my list. I tried to be as unbiased as possible because, like I said, I'm a prequel baby. I love the prequels, and probably my top 5. You could read them and be like, "This is obviously a millennial and not somebody who was around for the originals." But I try it. These aren't like my 10 favorite characters. These are who I think are the 10 best and most important. I tried. There's some bias in there, but I think it's pretty unbiased overall. My number 10 is also, there's like 50 people that I could have cycled in this number 10 spot. I wrestle with it. I really do. But my number 10 is Jango Fett with an asterisk of Boba Fett. It's kind of more so Jango Fett for me. He was amazing in the prequels. Such a cool character. And he also, like, Tamora Morrison accounts for all of the clones throughout the prequels.
Yeah.
The Clone Wars is such a pivotal, massive part of the story of Star Wars. And the Clone Wars show, it's also all like, it's all from Jango Fett. And Jango Fett was the first, like, opens up all of this like mystery and wonder about like Mandalorians. And Boba Fett, like, if I had to pick between the two, I was saying Jango Fett, but they're both, I mean, he's a clone of Jango Fett. So he's kind of like right there. And to most of the originals fans, like, Boba Fett was the coolest person in the world. Even though Lucas said he's like, Boba Fett was just supposed to be like a background character, but people loved him so much that I wrote him a deeper story. And so Boba Fett also has a really cool story, but I don't think it's as important or cool as Jango Fett's. Jango Fett's lore is awesome. Yeah.
So you're definitely a big fan of the fight scene between him and Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones.
So good.
Yeah, that's a good scene. That's a really good scene.
Yeah.
So typically with these top 10 lists, sometimes we'll have towards the bottom, they'll be kind of like not so sure or maybe not like, but starting
Like
at number 10,
mentions.
you already were like, I absolutely love them. So I'm just like picturing the rest of your list is just going to be absolutely like favorite people.
Oh, I love every person on this list.
Okay, so yeah.
I could have done top
Nice.
50 and still had a hard time.
That's amazing. Dang. All right. Well, I'm interested to hear what
There
Jacob
wouldn't be a
used.
single sequel character in that top 50, by the way.
Oh man. Oh man. So all right.
Some opinions.
So my list was the way that I kind of did it is I will say that this is if I have a leaning, it's towards this is my top 10 favorite.
Yeah.
But a lot of these I could say, especially my number one. I think my number one is also, I believe, the best character. But a few of these I could say. But I'll go ahead and get into. These are characters that when I pick these lists, these are characters that I love to watch. That when I think of Star Wars, I think of these characters. How they affected me growing up and how they affect the whole overarching story and theme of Star Wars. So my number 10, start out with a Jake take, possibly. For those of you who know what that is my version of a hot take. My number 10 is Qui-Gon Jinn from episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, let me just say this. So I'm going to kind of echo what you said, Luke. You could definitely tell I'm a millennial. Growing up, I'm just going to say Qui-Gon Jinn was the freaking guy.
He was the coolest person ever.
He was so cool when I was a little kid because he was so zen the whole time.
Yes.
And he was like, it was like he had the wisdom of Yoda because he always seemed like he knew what was going on. But he had the green lightsaber, which I'm a green lightsaber guy. It was always my favorite.
Nice.
And he had the green lightsaber, and he was just Liam Neeson as a Jedi. I don't understand why so many people hate Liam Neeson as a Jedi. He's so good.
I love it. Yeah.
First, you'll know this, Luke. First, Force Ghost, right? He was like the one to originally be a Force Ghost. I guess I haven't read the books, so
found it out. Yeah.
But he was the one who kind of started it out even before Yoda, which is a cool thing. And you have to kind of pay attention, but he does pop up as a voice in a couple more episodes later on.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, like other than Yoda, like Yoda's like the grandfather Jedi, obviously. But to me, you have so many awesome levels of Jedi because of where it started with Qui-Gon. And I also think it's really cool. I would just love a movie or a TV show of this, but I also think it's cool that he was trained by Count Dooku before Count Dooku was a bad guy. And so I would love to see that kind of whole apprenticeship thing. But yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn was that freaking guy. And that's why he's my number 10. Loved Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah. Phenomenal pick.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Good. No,
I love this guy. He's great.
No, that's so good. Yeah. A lot of like I had mentioned, I love stories and I love storytelling. So a lot of my list is like people with some of the best stories, in my opinion. And Qui-Gon Jinn's like the lore. He doesn't have much screen time, but him in like Legends and him, I mean, he shows up in some of the cartoon shows a little bit here and there, his voice and stuff. And yeah, just the whole mystery of like in episode 3 when Yoda's like, you know, he hints at the fact that Qui-Gon Jinn like reached out and found a way to like have an afterlife. He like invented, there's potential to happen before that, but for on-screen purposes, he like invented the afterlife, which is awesome.
And he trained Obi-Wan even more in the afterlife.
Yes.
That's what Yoda said. He's like, you got some more training to do.
Yeah.
This is great. Nick, how you feel?
Dude, I'm feeling great. I didn't even when you said that person, I was like, oh yeah. I had no idea you're talking about what
we're gonna get Nick hype for Obi-Wan coming out too.
But I like the green lightsaber point. That was nice. But hey, here's what I do want to do in this podcast. I'm gonna randomly pop in with trivia questions. That's what I decided I'm gonna do.
Oh, dope.
And I feel like you guys are probably gonna be pretty good at this. But first question: what is Baby Yoda's real name?
Grogu,
yeah.
This is gonna be too easy for you. I'm getting out of here.
Grogu.
All right, continue on.
All right, number 9, Luke.
Number 9 for me is also, it's sort of, I think when I was thinking Jango Fett, I started going down a line and I really wrestled with this, but I wanted a newer character. And so I have Mando at number 9.
That's my number 9.
No way.
Yeah, the Mandalorian's my number 9.
Out of the
I had
500 billion characters y'all could pick, you both have the same number 9.
That's wild. Well, it's because I think he deserves a spot in the top 10 at this point. And again, this is something maybe Originals fans are going to be like crucifying you for. But the show was so successful, so well written. All of the different directors they had for each episode it was a masterpiece. I'm a big storytelling person. They told his story so well that now in the Boba Fett series, like if you're a deep Star Wars fan, you know that Boba Fett is like the coolest bounty hunter. Right. Like Jango Fett, I thought was cooler because prequels person and his story, his lore is way cooler. He like ruled Mandalore for a while. He's legit. Anyways, but Mando's story is so good. And it's so good that it makes the Boba Fett show the Boba Fett show was good. But Boba Fett as a character was so underwhelming. And the little spoiler, the Mandalorian is in a couple of the Boba Fett episodes, and all of those are the best episodes. Yeah. And it's because the Mandalorian's in it. And his story is told super well. Pedro Pascal does such a good job.
Oh, yeah.
And like Baby Yoda, I am just going to spoil and say he's not on my list. Grogu's not on my list. But I feel like it's because we don't know enough about him. And his relationship with the Mandalorian, like the Mandalorian really humanizes that character, and just such a great show. He's like a Western gunslinger samurai in space. It's amazing.
Dude, I have that on my notes. I have on my notes under the Mandalorian. He is like, I love the Western cowboy vibe of the Mandalorian.
They also play Western music, I feel like.
The theme music is so good. That is actually one guy that they hired. He's like a composer. He writes a lot of music and he plays like a bunch of different instruments. And he said he locked himself in a like recording studio for like weeks and just like pumped out that most of what you're hearing is actually from different recorders. Like a lot of the melodies are like these giant bassy recorders. Really cool music. I also had that as a note. The music in the Mandalorian is great.
That the story is always going to be good when an artist is like,
story is great. Love Mando.
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I won't spend a lot of time on it because you hit a lot of the great notes. The only note that I did have as a personal note with the Mandalorian, the most Batman-like Star Wars character out there. For sure. And he is just like, it's one of those things where you're ready. You want him to get into trouble because you want to see how he's going to get out of it this time.
Yeah.
He just,
it's so cool. Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and spoil this up front. My favorite thing about Star Wars, as I believe it should be everybody's favorite thing about Star Wars, my favorite thing about Star Wars is the Jedi. So when I was growing up watching the movie, if you weren't a Jedi, I really didn't care about you a whole lot. I'll just be honest. And so what this show was able to do, other than Han Solo, what this show was able to do was make me really, really get like, I was like, a Star Wars show that doesn't have a Jedi in it, I'm not watching it. Like, get out of here. But it made me love this character, and it's like Jason Bourne in Star Wars, and it's fantastic. And the Mandalorian, man. I mean, what can you say? It's fantastic.
No, I totally agree with you, because when I remember when the Mandalorian first came out, there was a lot of hype for a Star Wars show, and everybody's guesses were like, oh, there's going to be an Obi-Wan Kenobi show. That was like back then. And the Mandalorian was announced and everybody was kind of deflated. They were like, like Mandalorians are super cool, but like we want to see the Force and Jedi and all, like, lightsabers and Sith. And they made the Mandalorian, and it's by far, well, Rogue One was really good, but it's pretty much the best thing that Disney Star Wars has done. And it's pretty much all thanks to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. But
that's what I was gonna say.
Great.
Anything Jon Favreau puts his hands on, it just turns to
fan.
gold. He's fantastic. That's great, dude. Let's go ahead and jump to the number 8.
Yeah, number 8.
Yeah.
So I won't spend too much time on my number 8 because I have Qui-Gon Jinn as number 8.
Yes, sir.
And, yeah, I actually bounced him around my list a lot. I had him really high for a minute and then dropped him down low. If he had like more screen time, like there's obviously a bunch of legends and a bunch of like cool things about him and cool lore. And that's one of the things, his potential for his background story is so incredible. Yeah. And there's so much they could do with him, but they just haven't done it yet. So yeah, Qui-Gon's like the coolest. He's so, give me gray Jedi vibes.
Yeah, give me a Qui-Gon Jinn show. Bring Liam back. Right? Oh my gosh, I would die.
Or find somebody and deep fake them, or find somebody to play like a young Liam Neeson. I'd be down for it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Qui-Gon's
that's a great pick. All right. I'm gonna keep Nick. Just cut me off if you want to jump in anywhere. That's totally good. Yeah, all right,
so we'll be on your number 8.
My number 8 is one of those characters that there's a couple that I'm gonna start off with saying like I just had to put them in the top 10. But I do really love this character. I loved this character more growing up probably than I do now. But growing up, anytime this character did anything, because he was so like calm and mellow the whole time, anytime he jumped into action, I was like, it was amazing. My number 8 is Yoda, the original Jedi, if you will. Yoda for the prequel babies, when Yoda comes out with his cane and he fights Count Dooku at the end of Attack of the Clones, I was like, oh my gosh. And he jumps around like a frog. It's just I love that his lightsaber is smaller than normal. It's just so good. Like every detail about Yoda is really good. And it wasn't until recently that I really fell in love with the Yoda from the original movies. Because that whole sequence on Dagobah, it's Dagobah, right? With Luke, where he trains Luke. That whole sequence is really, really good. And just as a younger watcher, when I was a kid, he just kind of seems like this crazy, senile, old man. But what he's actually doing with Luke, and as you watch it and pay attention, it's really so good. And I love that in the prequels, anytime that the hero is fighting the apprentice of the actual bad guy, Yoda is fighting the actual bad guy. And it's like the adults are going to handle this while the kids fight. You know what I mean?
I love that so much.
He's always, like I said, I kind of said this about Qui-Gon. He just always seems like he knows what's going on. Like he's omniscient almost in a way. There are a couple nitpicky things, and this is more of a movie thing than a character thing. There are a couple things in the prequels that I don't think they made the best decisions on. Like sometimes when Yoda gives advice, and when I don't like that Yoda doesn't know if Anakin is the chosen one or not. It just seems like that's something Yoda should know. And he never thinks about to go back and look. They talk about the prophecy all the time, but they never go back and look at it. Anyway, that's more of a movie.
There are flaws in the prequels, of course.
Yeah, for sure. We could talk about that in a different pod. But as far as Yoda as a character, he's fantastic. He's the grandfather Jedi, and he's got to be on this list for me. So that's why he comes in at number 8.
Yoda's the little green guy, right?
Yes.
I'm kidding. I know who Yoda is. I know Yoda.
Yoda's the one with the mask, right? And the
Darth Vader.
Just kidding. Hey, what year did the first Star Wars come out?
77.
Easy one. Nice.
Nick's like, you guys suck. This is a dumb idea.
An easy one, you know?
And that's what we were saying. It was originally just called Star Wars.
Yeah.
They didn't come out with the whole New Hope concept for a while.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
7,
we're rolling through this thing. Let's do it.
Yeah.
My number 7 is Yoda.
Oh,
Oh
man.
my gosh.
So yeah, like I
No
said,
way.
Yoda's story is super cool.
What is happening?
Old school Yoda. I'm a puppet Yoda and an animated Yoda. I'm down for both. I know there's big debate. I think they're both
I'm
great.
down with both of them. It's whatever.
I don't know. And he's another person who would obviously be higher on my list if he had a little bit more story. But the like comics explore his sort of story. Clone Wars explores his story a little bit. There's so much potential. Literally, I mean, he's lived for like 1,000 years, so
Yeah.
there's literally
Yeah.
so much potential. Like, give me a Yoda show. I'd be down for. I'm sure that'll happen.
All of them.
Yeah, I actually am. I just read The Light of the Jedi, which is a Disney book that they put out for Star Wars, and it's pretty good. It's actually really good. And I think a direction that they're going to take a lot of new Star Wars content is the High Republic, like a couple hundred years before, the fall of the Republic and whatnot. And Yoda is like there.
Yeah.
They haven't like seen him, but he's mentioned here and there. And I'm like, Yoda is so freaking cool. They could do so much with Yoda. And I think they're actually planning, there's rumors that they're planning already a show that's like High Republic era. I think it's going to be called The Acolyte or something like that. But if Yoda's in it, just sign me up because that's going to be freaking sick. And that's when there's like a ton of Jedi. There's so much potential for,
I want to see Yoda leading a Jedi army. That's what I want.
Right? Yoda.
That's a great pick. Obviously. Obviously a great pick.
What
Nick,
species is Yoda?
Oh, that I don't know.
I don't think they have a name. They don't have a name for his species.
Is he part frog?
There's literally no name for his species, if I'm not mistaken.
Does
It's
Google say
Sibrak
otherwise?
Or unknown?
Unknown, yeah.
Yeah.
There's literally him, and there's Yaddle, and now there's Grogu. And that's like all we got. And there's the other, that's like all we got.
I like
just makes
Yoda,
it
man.
even
He's
better.
pretty dope.
Yoda's a cool guy.
Yeah,
All right.
can you
So my number 7, this may, for those of you who especially are much bigger fans of the original Star Wars movies, this may definitely be a Jake take. But my number 7 is Anakin Skywalker. And I'm specifically talking about Anakin.
Okay.
Not Darth Vader. I'm actually going to separate those two characters if that's all right with you, Luke. But
I think that's right.
Anakin, I have on my list. Here's why. Here, let me get a few things out of the way. Number 1, Jake Lloyd is a horrible actor. He was the little kid Anakin in Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
That's bad. I get it. I blame a lot of the acting in Star Wars on George Lucas. I'm just going to go ahead and say he's not the best acting we have other than the sequels, because those are different directors, but the best acting we have is probably Empire Strikes Back, and George Lucas didn't direct that one. So that was his mentor directed that. So he's just not a good character director, I don't think. And so a lot of acting I blame on him. And I'm also going to say that Hayden Christensen was not a very good actor in the prequels, but he's coming back in Obi-Wan. And I think he's literally I really hope that he's going to blow everybody out of the water. He's kind of getting a second chance, and he's going to have the suit on and stuff. So anyway, Anakin Skywalker, I think, is a really interesting character. Obviously he is, because a lot of the entire saga rides on him. And the big debate of whether or not you are a fan of the midichlorians or you believe that anybody could be a Jedi. Disney believes that anybody could be a Jedi because they totally retconned it back.
Yeah.
Are you Luke, are you a midichlorians guy, or are you
I don't know. I don't like midichlorians kind of sounded like a cop-out answer for how the Force works.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, the whole anyone can be a Jedi is kind of like, I feel like no. There's I don't like the midichlorians, but I also don't like this whole, I don't know. What Disney tried to do was really try and make it like you said, anyone can be a Jedi, and their purpose for that was to I don't know, to put some sort of agenda when already Anakin Skywalker was an orphan raised by a single mother. And so they're trying to say like, oh, you don't have to be this big royal, like bloodline important person to be a Jedi. Anyone can be a Jedi. And that whole like idea they tried to push really hard, and felt like Rian Johnson thought he was being really groundbreaking in that, but he doesn't understand that he just was like ruining the old Star Wars story. And it was already a thing. It was already a orphan raised by a single mother,
right,
who was a slave. Like
right.
that's already the story of Star Wars, is like coming from absolutely nothing and being like the best Jedi ever. That's the story.
And
like, they tried to retcon it. Yeah.
And I'm totally like, I'm okay with Darth Sidious like doing the Immaculate Conception thing where he actually created it. Like, I'm okay with all of that. But what I'm not okay with is what the sequels try to do, which I don't love. By the way, for those of you, the language I'm going to use, I don't know about Luke, but I'm going to use originals, prequels and sequels. That's what I'm going to say. So when I'm referring to each trilogy, but
yeah, that's pretty standard, I'd say.
What they try to do with the sequels is not only do they say that anybody can be a Jedi, but they kind of say that like anybody can use the Force. And that I don't love. I understand that everybody can, because the Force runs within everything in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
that's
even
totally
in
fine.
Legends, there's like there's a difference between like kind of being Force sensitive, like,
right,
and then being a Force user. Two different things. And they just
totally,
and specifically Rian Johnson.
Don't get me started on that freaking movie. That movie almost made me leave Star Wars altogether. I hate that movie. But one of my least favorite characters in Star Wars, he will not be on my list, is Finn. I think he's absolutely pointless. But what I really don't like is that the whole time in the last Star Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker, he keeps trying to tell Rey something. He's like, Rey, I have to tell you something. And he never gets to say it. Well, apparently J.J. Abrams came out and he said what he was trying to tell Rey was that he could use the Force, like he could feel the Force or whatever. Anyway, I just don't love that. I love the idea of it being more like a religion almost, kind of, that you're super in tuned with and focused with. And like the only way that you can really do it is if you devote your entire life to it and you're completely in tuned with it. That's just kind of how I always thought of it. So I'm not a huge fan of the midichlorians, but I'm kind of like you, Luke. But anyway, we totally just got off on a tangent. All of that to say, I think
I was getting interested. Sorry.
I think Anakin is a really interesting character because he supposedly is the chosen one. And I think in a way, this may be confusing, but I think in a way he is, because I'll go ahead and say this. I think if Anakin is a good guy, if he uses his power for good, he is the most powerful Jedi ever. That's my opinion.
That's that's factual. That is like canon.
Okay.
George Lucas said it. Factual.
I think if he's honed in,
be,
right. If he's honed in and he's actually being what a Jedi is supposed to be. Okay, cool. And he's actually being what a Jedi is supposed to be. Yeah, he's unmatched. And that's why he's almost unmatched as Darth Vader. Yeah. Because he's just so powerful the other direction. But I really love his story, and I love that in his heart, because he literally has the best story arc of Star Wars, because he eventually is a good guy. And I know that original like the people who love the original movies hate this. I love that George Lucas added Hayden Christensen's Anakin Force Ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi. I freaking love that. That's so fantastic because give that guy redemption. Yeah. And he may have went a little too far when he had Anakin like kill like the younglings and everything. And that can be another that scene. That can be another. That's like a huge controversial thing because everybody thought Darth Vader was bad, but they didn't know that he was like that bad. But Darth Vader is based on Hitler. So Hitler did that. Anyway,
I would like to dive into that tangent.
I'll just say this and then I'll be done with Anakin. I'm specifically.
Yes.
Oh, shoot. It's like a place that you want to go, but you really don't want to go. Anyway, I'll go ahead and say this, and then I'll be done. I'm basing this pick mostly off of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, all the way up until his turn. I think Anakin is like fantastic in that movie. I love the banter at the beginning with Obi-Wan. I love that he grows his hair out, and I love how powerful he is when Obi-Wan gets whooped by Count Dooku at the beginning. And then he just wipes the floor with. That's what I'm saying. Like when he's honed in, there's nobody like him. And so Anakin's number 7, and I feel like he'll probably, you think that may be a little low, Luke, but I don't know. We'll see. But that's my number 7. So we can move on.
Dun, 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 dun. Time for trivia. The Lion King's Mufasa, and which Star Wars character were
Darth
voiced
Vader.
by the same
Earl
actor?
Jones Jr. Darth Vader.
James Earl Jones,
I'm
baby.
gonna have to look up some new trivia questions. Hard trivia questions for Star Wars.
Dude,
The
James
hardest
Earl
out there.
Like, if you don't know James Earl Jones in like every movie he's been in, it's just a shame. Not every movie. You know, The Sandlot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, facts.
You don't put that and Darth Vader's voice together. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
All right,
That
Luke,
makes sense.
number 6.
Okay, number 6 for me. I'm gonna say the first name and ask Nick if he knows who he is good old Sheev.
Sheev?
Sheev. Yeah, do you know who that is?
No.
Okay. Palpatine, the Senate
Oh.
himself.
I know
Wow.
who Palpatine is.
Yeah. And this might, depending on who you are, this might be
I
low.
feel like that's probably unpopular,
This
right?
might be high.
I would say so. He's not on my list.
But Palpatine, like we're talking, if I'm talking story and significance and importance in Star Wars,
That's true.
like
Yeah.
Darth Vader is obviously the most iconic and debatably the most important, but
I
he
thought
is
he was like a bad dude because didn't he like get like his own freaking kid
Palpatine
He is-
is a bad dude.
He is the bad dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he like got his kids killed or something, right?
Well, maybe. What are you talking? Who do you think I'm talking about?
I don't know. Isn't he the older guy that wears like the chain?
A chain?
Yeah, like some
Maybe?
bling. Maybe not. I'm picturing this dude.
I'm not gonna lie. I
You
don't
can
know
keep
what you're
going.
talking about. Maybe.
I'm gonna look it up. I'll find this photo. that I'm thinking of.
Palpatine in my mind is
Palpatine.
like, I feel like there's a few points on my list where I'll make this point, is that he was not displayed as well as his story actually has been communicated by like word of mouth
Oh,
and
interesting.
TV shows and stuff like that, because he is an evil, he's the bad guy.
Oh,
took down
shoot. This
the
dude
entire
ugly.
Republic. Like he literally planned for who knows how many years, killed his Sith master, potentially created Anakin Skywalker, watched Anakin Skywalker live his entire life while he's rising in political power and
This is
already
so
being
good.
like the most powerful.
Well,
bad
he
guy
plays
in the
both
world.
sides. The
And
whole
he plays both sides of the
Yeah.
war are him. And he's the most important. Again, the sequels are absolute hot trash. So I don't even consider that when I say these things. But Palpatine is the most significant. And like I said, his portrayal is not maybe the best as it should have been, but he's the most significant bad guy in Star Wars. And like Darth Vader, I guess you could debate is more significant because he sort of, but when you really think about it, Darth Vader happened because of Palpatine.
Well, and
and-
Darth Vader has
yeah.
redemption. Palpatine,
Darth Vader, so
does
Darth
not.
Vader essentially wins out over Palpatine.
right?
Well, Anakin wins out over Palpatine at the end, but Palpatine is he's an absolute mastermind genius who took over the universe, essentially, literally, like, or the galaxy, whatever. Wild.
Bro, this
Yeah.
dude is ugly, man.
And that's the thing, like his character, I don't think it was well displayed enough for him to be higher up. I debated putting him higher up for like significance,
Yeah.
but as far as like him being a really cool character, the Senate, he's just not there, you know?
yeah. For sure.
yeah.
That's an interesting pick. He's not going to make my list,
Yeah.
but he is really, really significant in Star
Yeah.
Wars. Obviously, he is Satan.
That's where I'm taking. He's really like, he's Hitler.
Yeah.
So that's where I sort of tried to take my bias out of it, because obviously I don't think he's like super cool. Ian McDermott's a super good actor, I feel like, but it was a little weird some scenes. But
Yeah, that's a great pick.
Stevie
Dude,
Palpatine.
I used to play Battlefront, and his character was really bad because it was like super cool because you could be like a Jedi for like 30 seconds in the game or something. And if I ever got his, all he like shot a little electrocute and only like barely killed a dude. And I was like, this dude's the worst freaking guy in the freaking game. Yeah, that's what I know about him now that I looked him up.
Dude, I can't, just hearing some of your points, Luke, I can't wait until we rank the movies one day. Because that's going to be a ton of fun.
Like I've done that. I have my ranking for the movies already. Like it's there. It's always there taunting me.
It's haunting you.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Well, you just got a free invite to another pod. How about that?
There you go. There you go.
So we're on to Jacob's number 6.
So if I could ask you to spoil something from your list, Luke, are you going to have any sequel characters on your list?
God, no. Just kidding.
So literally zero? Okay.
Zero.
So I don't think I feel as strongly about the sequels as you do. I probably do about The Last Jedi. I think that movie shouldn't be called a Star Wars movie, but there are a couple things that I like about the other two. But with that being said, one of the things that I like about the sequels is my number 6, which is Rey. And shout out to my wife, because Rey is her favorite Star Wars character.
I like Rey.
And Rey here. Okay, so here's why I really like Rey. I think that whatever you think of the sequels, that's totally fine. But Rey is a really pure Star Wars character. And what I mean by that is she has a lot of good in her. And one thing that Disney tries to do, and I don't want to get into politics, but one of the things that Disney tries to do is this, they love the underdog story. They love inclusion. They love the idea of anybody can be whatever they want to be. They take that really, really far sometimes, which that's totally fine. But that's who Rey is. I mean, she comes out. I'll go ahead and say I wish that she was a Kenobi. And I know that was one of the original drafts. If she was a Kenobi, my whole life is different.
There was so much hype. They should have just done it.
I know. I read this
They
draft.
should have rewrote the script when they heard how much hype there was.
Literally, I read this draft of what the original plan was when she was going to be and I almost cried. Anyway, but she is a really good character because there is so much good in her. And I do love the idea that, again, we talked about the whole Force thing and the midichlorians and everything. And we find out, of course, that there's no significance about her parenthood. But I do love the idea of her coming out and sort of feeling that there's something with the Force. I just wish that they would have shrunk the world a little bit and just made the reason she feels that is because she has some kind of parent or grandparent or somebody that's a Jedi, whatever. I wish they would have done that. And
she was like the granddaughter.
I feel like
Palpatine.
we don't talk about that. I feel like
well, I guess she technically whatever.
She's a Skywalker, bro.
I suppose that she is a Skywalker. Look, I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. I don't like the randomness of them just going,
"Oh, that's
hey, this is how it's gonna be."
Well, that's the thing is the fact that Disney bought Star Wars and the sequel trilogy was not the most meticulously planned series of movies of like all time is so depressing and so sad, because it is. I mean, it just bounced at like, oh, freaking J.J. Abrams set up a lot of good ideas. And that's the first one, episode 7, is my favorite out of all of those, and not that I like love it or anything, but the first time I watched
it's still trash, but it's my favorite.
Still trash. The entire direction, just 1 second, the entire direction of the sequels I thought was just a swing and a miss. They were trying to rehash the old movies, go 100% like let's just ramp up the nostalgia as much as possible and try and copy the old movies as much as possible. And the storyline, like J.J. Abrams setting up, like I said, he set up a lot of cool ideas. So I was disappointed that they didn't just do their own thing, go back to the High Republic, create a whole new storyline, like whatever. But like J.J. Abrams set up a lot of cool ideas, a lot of cool questions, and Rian Johnson literally picked them all up and threw them in the trash. And then J.J. Abrams came back and was like, how can I pick these things out of the trash and kind of put them back together? Like,
I just have to say on
That's
that
what
note,
I've
and
heard.
I don't want to make the movie. I don't want to make this
Yeah,
the movie
sorry.
podcast. No, you're fine. You're fine. But I do have to say on that note, I am a fan of the last one, and I do like it because, and I'll say why I'm a fan of it actually a little bit later on my list. I'll kind of go into more of that, but I think J.J. Abrams had a really, really difficult job to do, and I think it's kind of embarrassing for Disney that he came back and directed the last movie, because I think that they were really desperate.
They weren't planning for that. Yeah.
They weren't planning for that because Rian Johnson, I believe, if I'm correct, signed on to do the last two, and then ended up, they got out of the contract or whatever. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's 100% true, but anyway, I will say this, and tell me if I'm wrong, but in between 2015 and 2017, my Star Wars excitement was humongous.
Oh, sky
because
high.
in the theater, I just have to say, in the theater, when that movie ended with Rey holding out the lightsaber to Luke, and Luke looked like this old, like he had
there
his
was
beard,
so much hype.
I
dude.
was like,
it was so good. It was like one of the few good moments. Yeah.
And then when The Last Jedi started and he throws the lightsaber over his
I don't
shoulder,
even want to talk about it.
It's so bad. We can't.
Yeah.
all that to say,
So
I
who's
think
your favorite character?
Out of the sequels?
I'm joking. Getting us back on track.
Yeah.
The characters. I'm so sorry. All that to say, Rey is a bright spot, and I think Daisy Ridley does a really great job, and I love the idea of there being a female character that can sort of lead that, who is also a Jedi, because that's what Leia was. I mean, Leia was a huge part of the original trilogy, and she was such a commanding female character. But to have one be a Jedi too, I was really down with that idea. And so throughout those movies, those last three movies, as frustrated as I may be, there's nothing really that Rey does that frustrates me. I think she's all around a really pure character. For disagree a little bit, that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
But she's my number 6. So
I like that pick, and I like your reasoning for that pick. I would disagree with Rey a little bit, but this goes back to what I say, that sometimes like the actual story that was intended and like exists, and how it was portrayed is kind of different. And so I feel like the story that actually could exist for Rey and her potential was so high. Yeah. And she was definitely, like, of the first movie, she was the best character, I think. But there's the whole thing of her, like, her having no training. She doesn't get a scratch on her. I mean, literally, she gets.
I hate the forest scene.
It's rough.
The first time her and Kylo Ren fight,
and that's when I get into storytelling and like what comes from a good underdog character arc is trials and like adversity. Right. And she beats the main bad guy in the first movie. Yeah, she beats him.
It's dumb.
And it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Yeah. And that was another thing. She just beats the main bad guy in the first movie. And there is never a single point that she is challenged throughout the entire thing. Like, challenged with emotional things with her parents, but they're like physically and force-wise, Kylo Ren's the main bad guy. Originally there was Snoke. That's the two main. I'm not going to get into episode 8, but
we'll go. You're good.
Rey had so much potential. Kylo Ren is probably my favorite character of the sequels. I'll just say that for fun. I like his redemption arc. He's the only one that actually has a character arc. He is the one who has to face adversity and beat Rey.
That's true.
Because Rey already beat him. She's basically stronger than him. And they tried in episode 9 to make it a little different. I think they had like the one scene where he kind of just like beats her up a little bit. But even then, like, they have that other lightsaber fight, she wins again. And it's because, whatever. She has no challenges the whole time. And that bothers me. But that's not Daisy Ridley, phenomenal actress. Rey could be super cool. I like Rey a lot. And Finn, I feel like, had a lot of potential. And they absolutely ruined him. And
Finn is horrible.
So they did him so dirty. And I feel really bad.
Yeah, that's tough.
Sorry. That's
okay.
My point.
Dang.
All right. Rants on rants. We've got them all. Why don't you start with your number 5?
My number 5, this is where my bias really took over and I couldn't help it. I do. And I put him on here. Like, I've been going with importance and story, but I put him on here at number 5 because I think he's potentially the single coolest character that is on screen ever for Star Wars, and that is Darth Maul.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Darth Maul. Like, I get chills when I think about the very first time that I saw Darth Maul in the hallway whipping out his double-sided lightsaber.
Yeah,
and
when the
fights
door is
Obi-Wan and
like completely
Qui-Gon, and you're like, this is amazing. This is like, because you kind of, especially old original trilogy fans are kind of drudging through that movie, and that
Right.
is the one moment that is unanimously agreed upon as the best moment of episode 1, and the one of the coolest, potentially the coolest lightsaber battle ever.
Yeah,
It's
dude,
so
as a kid, I honestly, it was the pod race and then the final scene.
Yeah.
I didn't give a rip about the rest of that movie. I didn't know what was going on, but I would watch the whole movie just to get to that point.
Lightsaber
Oh
fight.
man, so good.
We know that it is kind of sad that he didn't have much screen time. We know he like survived and has a cool character arc in the Clone Wars. He has a really cool story. The final season with Darth Maul is super cool. I love that they included him at the end of Solo. And I'm pretty sure they're planning on doing more with him. Even though we sort of know his start and his finish, there's still a lot of gray area. And he's definitely the coolest. He's potentially the coolest bad guy ever. He's just so awesome.
It's what most people remember. There's like a really high point that people remember about Phantom Menace and a really low point. The low point's Jar Jar. The high point is Darth Maul. And so
he was
I love that
pick. I feel like could have been portrayed better. I love Ray Park too. I heard, I don't know, there's weird things about him now, I guess. But I remember watching him in several other movies, and I like became a Ray Park fan because he did like Snake Eyes and G.I. Joe.
Snake Eyes,
and he did a couple other things. He was in the show Heroes for a while. And he did motion capture for the Clone Wars Darth Maul in the final season. And
that's crazy.
So good. Yeah. Love Darth Maul.
Love that pick. Definitely a biased pick for the prequel babies, but that's really good. I love that.
I'm a fan of him. Jacob, what's your number 5?
Okay, my number 5. I'll go ahead and say, okay, I'll just say it. My number 5 is Luke Skywalker. And here is why, and this is probably going to frustrate you, and we won't get into a rant again, but the reason he's not higher is because of what they did with him in the sequels, but I have to include it.
Completely discarded.
I have to include it because it's part of the lore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Luke Skywalker in the original movies, he was that guy for sure. And because of how cool of a character Han Solo is, it's a wonder you don't forget about Luke for the entire first movie.
Yeah.
Because Han Solo just comes in and he kind of steals the show in a lot of ways. But Empire Strikes Back and then Return of the Jedi were so, like, the opening of Return of the Jedi when he's at his like peak of like Jedi ability, and he just walks in and he's got like his hood and he's got his own lightsaber now. He's not using his dad's anymore and all that kind of stuff. And he's really his own character. He's just at such a great level in that part. And then the training that he goes through in Empire Strikes Back. And look, Mark Hamill is not my favorite actor of all time. I actually think he's pretty rough, but he was the original hero. And I try to put myself in the shoes of like a 15-year-old kid in 1977. Oh my gosh, he must have been the most iconic character ever. And so, and the story arc with Darth Vader becoming, us finding out that Darth Vader is his father, and then finding out that Leia is his sister, and all that kind of stuff, and the bond that develops between. I love that Han Solo calls him kid the whole movie. That's a little detail that I just love. And his relationship with Obi-Wan is really great. And then I really, really loved the idea of him training Rey. I really, really hate the way that it turned out, because he literally doesn't. He just basically doesn't train Rey. He barely does. I love Luke, but he would have been higher probably if it weren't for those last 3 movies. But I'll leave it at there. He's a really great character, truly cares about others. And he was the original Jedi. And so he's that guy.
Yeah, no, obviously I feel like Luke kind of absolutely has to be on the list somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I did not even think about the sequels when I made this list at all.
That's totally fine. I respect
I
it.
probably need to, but I don't know.
How many sequels were there?
3.
Three.
And then there's like the anthology movies.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah, there's
So-
there's 3 movies in each of the 3 trilogies.
Okay.
Which is that would be why I said trilogy.
So what's going on nowadays? Is Disney's not like going back and trying to remake the movies?
They're planning a new saga though.
Okay.
And they're going a new direction. Odds are it's going to be like High Republic, Old Republic vibes for the new, whatever the new saga is going to be.
That means nothing to Nick.
Yeah, odds are it's going to be different. It's not going to have anything to do with Skywalker people.
Gotcha.
That's probably the right move.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I just have heard that the newer ones seem repetitive and like it's a kind of same story.
No, it's literally
Dude, The Force Awakens is A New Hope, basically.
Back to back, yeah.
Yeah.
So many people, the one thing they were saying was like, let's just not bring back the Death Star. Whatever happens, I'm down with. Let's just please.
I feel like Death Star is so iconic.
For a third time.
Yeah.
The Death Star. And they have a giant Death Star. And it's like, you're kidding me right now.
Oh, man. I can picture the same scene over and over again. It was just.
And they, of course, find a way to blow it up. It's great.
One more time.
Let's blow it up.
Yeah. All right.
The repetitiveness.
Yeah.
So, do you guys know where Jabba the Hutt's palace is located?
Tatooine, obviously. Yes. Do you mean the town?
No, that's all I wanted.
He's like, do you want to know the town? Because I know that.
Also, Mos Eisley.
Oh yeah. That is.
I don't know. Somewhere around there.
Somewhere. All right, number 4.
Yeah, Luke is on his number 4.
Okay, number 4. This is truly my hot take. But I'm gonna spoil something and say Han Solo isn't on my list, and he really should be. And but I was thinking overarching Star Wars. To the originals, I believe Han Solo, acting wise, obviously Harrison Ford's a boss. Han Solo in the originals is the best, is basically my favorite character. Obviously Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, it's them, they are what it's about. But Han Solo, I guess this is an honorable mention because he should realistically be on the list, but he's only in, he's in the sequels. They don't count. He's only in the originals. The sequels, he comes and he gets killed off, and you find out him and Leia got a divorce or whatever. I don't know.
I don't love that. I hate that. Actually,
if I am including the sequels, he's not on the list because the sequels ruin him. The Han Solo movie I thought was pretty good. I liked it. I know a lot of people hated it. I didn't mind it. I thought, well, there were a few annoying things like the robot chick and some other things. But
people just hated it because it wasn't Harrison Ford, and there was absolutely nothing they could do about that.
Absolutely iconic. He is so crucial to the originals, but his overall importance and character arc, he does have a really cool character arc, like I said in the originals. But if we're talking characters that are like the entire Star Wars story, they've been a part. He's just not there. He's not there.
So what is your number 4?
So my number 4, I was just saying that because I think I had him at number 4 and I took him out.
Okay. And yeah. So it is very controversial that he's not on your list. I just have to say that.
I know.
Because I bet if you looked up on Google who the best Star Wars character was, I bet you most
a couple lists and they were all absolute trash and made no sense at all. Han Solo wasn't on. Luke Skywalker was number 20 on several big time BuzzFeed lists that I saw, and I was
get that out of here.
This is absolutely irrelevant.
Bro, Han Solo is like somebody like me trying to make the list.
Han Solo probably could have replaced Jango Fett. Probably could have replaced Darth Maul. I mean, I don't know. Could have replaced Mandalorian too. I think Mandalorian's cooler. Han Solo is just so nostalgic, and that's what. But like I said, importance in Star Wars. I don't know. And the Millennium Falcon is of course iconic. I don't know. I don't have him on the list, and he's my one person who I'm he should be on the list, but I just don't know where I'd put him.
That's all right. I'm
a big fan with the names that I'm looking at.
What'd you say, Nick?
What'd you
I said
say?
I'm a big fan of Indiana Jones, so I like Harrison
Yeah.
Ford. I could
Yeah,
vibe with
Harrison
Like
Ford
he
is
could
Solo.
easily replace Jango Fett, but I'm like Jango Fett and Tamora Morrison are literally like 80% of Star Wars characters. Like I feel like
yeah,
I don't
they
know.
do.
Yeah.
So what is
Whatever?
your
My number four is also my only girl on the list, and it's Ahsoka Tano.
Oh wow.
So here's the deal. Like I said, I'm big into
Osaka?
storytelling, and I'm also making a prediction here when I say this because I know we're getting an Ahsoka show, and I think that it's going to explore her character. I think Rosario Dawson's going to do an awesome job playing her, and the best episode of Mandalorian that has come out, with the exception of like the last episode potentially where they defake Luke,
Right.
which is really cool.
Whoa, chill.
And like it's Luke Skywalker, so you literally can't argue that. The coolest episode has been when Ahsoka was in it.
Yeah,
Ahsoka's character in the Clone Wars is pretty much the best character in the Clone Wars, aside from Anakin and Obi-Wan, who are the main characters. Ahsoka's story is one of the best stories that is told in Star Wars, like period. And I know that might be kind of like I remember have you seen the Clone Wars TV show?
So I have seen some of it. I have not seen all of it.
A few things actually.
But I do know that she's a big character.
Yeah.
And I have seen the movie a couple of times.
Okay, yeah.
Which I know is not as good as the show. But I really love the idea of her and Anakin's relationship.
Yeah, her and Anakin's relationship is one of the coolest things. And so if you haven't, even just go, it'd be skipping a lot, but watching just the last season that they put out of the Clone Wars is some of the best Star Wars that has ever been shown.
I've heard that. Like, season 7, right?
Season 7 is I've heard incredible. Well, with the exception of like a couple episodes that are completely useless, but the overarching story, so good.
Are you talking about the cartoon one?
Yeah. I'm telling you, like, and it's funny because
so much judgment.
I know you don't understand. The story is so good.
Yeah,
you literally start off not liking Ahsoka. Like I remember because I've seen the whole show and I started watching the show with a friend and I had told him how cool Ahsoka is. And he was like, dude, Ahsoka sucks. And I was like, what do you mean? But then I'm watching it. I'm like, oh yeah, she did suck. That's part of the story. She's super annoying at the beginning because she's like a 13-year-old kid or however old she is.
Yeah.
And it's like Harry Potter vibes. Like you literally watch this character grow over years and they do an incredible job. And it's something you can't really tell in a movie or even like a mini series like they do now. Ahsoka is the best female character in Star Wars, period. Not even close.
Wow.
That's got to be a hot take because I could assume everyone likes Leia.
Not even close.
That is a hot take.
It's kind of a hot take, but if you've watched the entirety of the Clone Wars, I think most people would agree with me. It's really not even close.
Wow.
I get, that's my number 4. I could talk about a lot of reasons she's up there. And that's again, like Han Solo's iconic and it's nostalgic and he's an amazing character, but You think that she's more important than? I think she's going to be, and debatably, and if she is, and that's again,
it's the upside factor.
Yeah, I'm not including the sequels at all. So he plays a significant role with Kylo Ren, but like literally, who cares?
Bro,
I don't care.
You're saying Osaka is literally better than like Osaka. I
also really like Jyn Erso. I think she's probably the second best female character from Rogue One. Not from Rogue One, but like she's the second best female character. And then Padme, Clone Wars, and then Leia.
I do like Padme. I think I have Padme over Leia as well.
Like I said, that's also a millennial take. But any like really deep Star Wars nerd who's watched all the shows, read books, and is like a super nerd will understand that Ahsoka is like the coolest. Absolutely.
I respect it. I respect the hot takes.
I'll have to do some research on her.
Yeah,
she's dope. She carries 2 lightsabers. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're white. She has white lightsabers. Like, what else do you need to know?
Isn't there another female that carries 2 lightsabers? She's blue. You know which one?
I mean, there's a few. There's a bad guy girl who carries 2 lightsabers.
She's like bald.
Yeah,
that's who I'm thinking of.
Nice. All right.
Well, that's a hot take. Even I know that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Way to mix it
Alright.
up.
I know. I also didn't want my top 4 to be just like,
Basic.
but yeah.
I like that. I
Basic.
respect that. I've started to do some of that too with these lists. But we're on to Jacob's number 4.
Yeah. So I'll be quick with this one. Luke, I love that. I'm glad that you said this as we were talking about the sequels, because my number 4 is without a doubt the best part of those newer movies, and it is Kylo Ren. And I get that it's a Jake take because he's high on my list.
Yeah.
But here's why.
You mean the trash bad guy in the recent movie?
Yes, as some would say. But listen, but here's the thing. He is a terrible bad guy, but this is going to sound weird, but that's why I think he's such a good character, because he's really not a bad guy. He really, really wants.
So cheesy, but yes, I agree.
I know. But he really just wants to be. He's not a bad guy. Come on. Once you get to know him, he just slaughters some people. He's really a good guy. But that's part of the reason why I think he's such a good character, is because he's only doing this because he thinks that he needs to live up to his grandfather, which is Darth Vader, which is kind of a cheesy story arc. It is. But here's the thing. I'll just go ahead and say, just don't take the mask off, please. When he takes the mask off,
Adam Driver.
It's just that, which I love Adam. Dude, that scene in The Last Jedi where they're force communicating and she's like, will you please put a cloak on? Or he's like, why, are you uncomfortable? And he's like so weird. Look, I love Adam Driver. He's
such a good actor.
I think he's a fantastic actor. And when he has the helmet on, when we first see him in Force Awakens, I was like, whoa. Dope. I was like, this is the new Darth Vader. But then he just becomes so whiny and all this kind of stuff. Anyway,
they ruin him really, really quick. They could have made him better.
But I credit this to J.J. Abrams, because I bet you Rian Johnson would not have done this. But the reason he's so high on my list is because, say what you want about the Rise of Skywalker movie, when Rey passes him the lightsaber through the Force and he becomes good at the end and he kills those guys and then they're like in love or whatever. I'm a sucker for the love stories. I know that you probably hate all of this.
There was no love story. There wasn't one. They just kiss randomly.
I know, but it hits. It hit me right here. But I'm a fan of complicated characters. And I love that the whole entire last 3 movies, Kylo Ren really doesn't know who he is. He's really, really confused the whole time. And I think he's confused because he is a good guy. He is a Skywalker at heart and a Solo at heart. And I think that Adam Driver does a really great job of displaying this character who just wants power because he feels like he has to live up to this Sith, this ultimate, phantom, if you will. But his flip at the end and his sort of the arc that he has, and a lot of this choice is based off of contrast, because I think he's so far above every other character in those sequel movies because of just how awesome of a character he is. And the forest scene in The Force Awakens, he should not. It's so confusing how Disney was okay with going, all right, he's the ultimate bad guy, right? He's in charge of the whole army. Let's have this little random smuggler chick who's never held a lightsaber in her life come and just whoop his tail in their first lightsaber duel. Such a weird choice.
That'd literally be like Luke beating Darth Vader in the first movie. And
it's so dumb. Anyway, but I think Kylo Ren, just singular as a character, is really interesting. Yeah. And he's the main reason why I will go back and watch those last movies, him and Rey, basically. And I love how they kind of tie the bow at the end. I think J.J. Abrams kind of did the best he could have. He could have taken it 14 different ways, and this is just what we got. But it is what it is. Yeah. But I think Kylo Ren is sort of a ray of sunshine and what could be a dark cloud over those. A ray of sunshine. I didn't even do that on purpose, but I know it's a hot take for sure. Look, I get it. It's number 4, but that's my pick. I really like the character, and for sure.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that is a much hotter take than me having Ahsoka at number 4, like significantly. I'm not
No, there's no way that's a hotter take than you
I-
not having Han Solo on your list at all.
Than not having Han Solo on the list, maybe, but well, I don't know. Like Han
Dude,
Solo,
you know how bad like the 57-year-old woman that's listening to this who probably isn't is like, you think Ahsoka's better than Leia?
Oh yeah, no, they're livid, but I have reasons. I don't know, dude. Kylo Ren's character is the best character in the sequels, but that's just not saying.
It's not saying much. I get it.
And I don't think, yeah, like as far as being a bad guy, like you said, he's bad at being a bad guy, which is a kind of cool little storyline. But
it's just not enough for you. I get it.
Darth Maul. Like, are you kidding me?
I know. Look, I get it. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. And this is the last thing I'll say about Kylo Ren. Say what you want about the sequels, but they are the only 3 Star Wars movies to have consistently good acting out of everybody. That is one thing that we can take from them, because the other 6 are not great. And Kylo Ren and Adam Driver he will win an Oscar one day. He is a fantastic actor. And
I see that's not, that's where, the prequels have this incredible story that was not portrayed very well. Like the acting was a little rough, the dialogue
horrible dialogue. Yeah.
The sequels is this absolutely garbage story that has a really good acting and really good special effects.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's how I sort of view it. Like, so and like I said, I'm a story person, and Kylo Ren, like, kind of had, like I said, out of that movie, Kylo Ren has the story that I care about.
Right.
He's the one who is trying to overcome adversity and like beat expectations of people who like Rey doesn't actually have any expectations on her. She doesn't. That's true. She could do whatever. There's a bunch of expectations on Kylo to be this awesome person. His mentor doubted him and tried to kill him. And so now he feels like he has to be the bad guy. He has the best story out of that movie. He is the protagonist. But it's still, they're so bad.
It's just not enough.
No, I wouldn't. I'm telling you,
he's kind of hyped it up, actually.
Kylo Ren would be the first person on my list of best characters to be from the sequels, and I'm talking like that's getting up to like probably 30 or 40 characters before I'm putting Kylo Ren on the list.
Wow, definitely a hot take from your perspective, then. But that's totally fine. We'll keep moving on. Let's do top 3.
Get into Luke's number 3.
So my number 3, I'm not gonna lie, I thought I have Luke Skywalker, and I thought this was low for Luke Skywalker. But again, I'm not thinking sequels much. Obviously, if you include the sequels, like Luke might not even be on the list. His character got done so dirty. But if you're a deep originals fan, Luke is number 1 for everyone. Like, ask anyone who's like, I was, born 1960s or early 70s. Luke is number 1. Luke is Star Wars. Luke Skywalker is synonymous with Star Wars.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
Yeah, maybe Darth Vader, because he's like the coolest, could be like Luke and Darth Vader. That's it. That's Star Wars.
Yeah. And how good is it to say, like, how good were those original movies to say, like, the 2 greatest characters from those movies was the good guy and the bad guy.
And they are 2
really simple, but really good.
Yeah. They're 2 of the most iconic good guy and bad guy, in their own respects, in the world, like in existence for humankind.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. If you could probably ask somebody in a third world country who has never seen Star Wars, if they saw a Darth Vader mask, well, they might get really freaked out, but they probably would be like, oh, that's Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
Everybody, so that's besides the point. But Luke Skywalker, to the OG trilogy fans, he's number 1. And so I was like, number 3 is kind of low because he's Luke Skywalker and he's what the movies are about.
But then I just put Kylo Ren above Luke Skywalker.
I know. That's why I'm sorry. I was like, I don't know, man. I thought your Luke was a little low, but it is what it is. Like, I understand that. And like I said, I think I tend to lean towards, like, I'm thinking story. I don't think about Mark Hamill as less than stellar acting. I could have included that in my thought process, but he's also like a orphan. He becomes an orphan raised by, like, he doesn't know who his parents are. He has a true underdog character arc, like a proper hero's journey that should have ended at episode 6.
Yes. I agree.
He essentially saves, like I said, Emperor Palpatine, the ultimate evil bad guy, Luke at least enables Anakin to, but Luke essentially saves the galaxy, saves the universe. One of the best protagonists, heroes' journeys we've seen in cinema history.
Yeah, so, well, and that was such a pivotal thing back then because you didn't have that a whole lot. That sort of, what do they call it? The Campbellian kind of story arc where you first reject the calling to be a hero, but then you go in. But it's funny because Luke he rejected it, and he still wasn't going to do it. But then his whole entire family was burned down. So he was like, well, I guess I can't do anything else. But yeah, no, I can't argue with anything you say. I have him low, and I totally respect you having him that high, but I'm really interested to see what your 1 and 2 are. So I'll go ahead and get into my number 3. And because I'm wondering if he's going to be your number 2 or your number 1. But my number 3 is Darth Vader himself. So Darth Vader, I did separate him from Anakin. I made them 2 different characters, even though they're obviously the same person. I get it, but 2 different characters. Darth Vader, he's freaking Darth Vader. That's the first thing I have on my notes. I wrote down. He's like my dad told me one time, he said the first movie that he remembers seeing in theaters was Star Wars. And he said every time Darth Vader was on screen, he was mortified. He would have to cover his, like, he was the villain. It was like him and Jaws. And like, they were like,
facts.
Literally, it was those 2. You'd never seen a villain like that before. He was so iconic. And I love that George Lucas did this so brilliant. A New Hope doesn't start with Luke. A New Hope starts with Darth Vader. That's the very first thing we see is him walking through that smoke.
That's James Earl Jones. Well, he wasn't in the costume, but his voice.
Yeah, it was his voice, right? And no, he is so iconic. One of the best parts of the prequels is the very end of Revenge of the Sith when Darth Vader is born. And you really get to see how, and then freaking Rogue One, the scene in Rogue One. Oh my gosh, man. Because they were like, guys, we have the technology to do this really well now. So let's throw him in there. And oh my gosh, it's so good. Darth Vader's that guy, and he is the ultimate villain. And how amazing was it within 3 movies? Because George Lucas has said that when he wrote the original Star Wars script, and correct me if I'm wrong, Luke, because you probably know more, but when he wrote the original Star Wars script, it was literally all 3 movies in one script. And then he treated it like 3 different acts. And that's how he got the trilogy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, whether or not I do not love George Lucas that much, because I think he's gone back and kind of like tried to make himself look better, and because about the whole whether or not he knew that like Leia was Luke's sister or whether, but I do believe he did say that he knew Vader was Luke's father the whole time, and I do believe him there because there's a few things in A New Hope that kind of point to that.
Didn't he like write it, so of course he knew.
Yeah, but you would say that with the sequels, and they were writing it and literally knew nothing that was going to happen. Wow,
yeah, there's a lot of debate, but
sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
No,
you're fine. I think my favorite thing about Darth Vader is his redemptive arc. And I love that as soon as he finds out and he realizes that Luke and Leia are his kids, he like never wants to kill them. He like never has any intention. And that's what they always thought. Episode 3 sets that up. They say that they separated the twins so that Darth Vader couldn't find them. Well, when he finds out that, that's who they are, he immediately tries to turn Luke over to his side because he doesn't want to kill him. And then of course he ends up saving him. And that just shows what a great character. And like I said, Anakin's the most powerful Jedi when he's in his zone. And he just happened to be in a really evil zone. And he was like the most powerful Jedi out there. Right. And so Darth Vader, he's an amazing character, has such a commanding on-screen presence, and all he does is stand there most of the time. But that just goes to show you how amazing of a character.
Force choke, like the whole force choke thing. Imagine being, that's where like sometimes George Lucas, like whatever, like maybe he went with things as they went along, but the fact that he invented this idea of force choking someone, and I know like telekinesis has been a thing, but the idea of having Darth Vader dressed up as like some outer space samurai and going like that and killing people, terrifying. Yeah.
It's great. It's great. So he's my number 3. All right. Number 2, Luke?
Number 2. Nick, do you have some trivia for us, or are we going into number 2?
Yeah, I can ask a trivia question, but I'm scared that you guys are gonna know it immediately.
There's nothing wrong with that. I might
All
know.
right. This one's probably super easy, but I thought it would be a fun question. What color was Mace Windu's lightsaber?
It was
That's the
purple.
question, is purple.
Do you know
Purple.
why it was purple, Nick?
No, enlighten me.
Because Samuel L. Jackson went to George Lucas and he was like, I'm Samuel L. Jackson and I want a different color lightsaber than anybody else.
Yeah.
And George
He was
Lucas
like, I was afraid during
okay.
that big fight scene, no one was going to be able to pick me out. So I wanted a purple lightsaber.
That's actually kind of great.
Yeah. But then
That's
they
kind of
go
weird that he said that because he's only like one of like 3 black Star Wars characters.
That's true.
Unfortunately. I don't
He's
know
also
why.
someone who could be pretty close to the list for his lore and story.
Which hand did Luke lose in the fight against Darth Vader?
Right hand.
Oh, I'm thinking of Anakin. I think it's his right because it's the same as Anakin's, right?
He was holding his lightsaber, wasn't he? I don't know. And got his. That's a good question. I think it's his right hand because I
Is that
think
your final answer?
I'm gonna go with left just because Luke's
it
going
might
with right.
be left. Yeah.
It's right. Yeah.
Oh man.
Because I think he's
Yeah.
like he's holding on and he's holding his lightsaber. It gets cut off. Yeah.
Yep.
Because the
Good call.
lightsaber falls down the tubes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All
And of
right.
course,
That's the
they had
only
to make
reason I
him
know. I
right-handed.
don't remember. I'm on 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're on your number 2.
My number 2 is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Nice.
And I mean, that's the thing. Having Obi-Wan higher than Luke is debatable in my opinion. But like I said, I don't know. I'm thinking for this one, partially significance, partially story and lore being so good. Like we are dying for an Obi-Wan Kenobi series. It would be cool to have a Luke Skywalker series in between, episode 6 and 7, but nobody's like dying for that. We're dying to know more about Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it's almost entirely to the credit of Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor. Like they're so good. Like Alec Guinness probably had some of the best acting in it. It was still rough, but in A New Hope, he was like the best actor.
Well, he did not. He hated doing that. Have you ever read about that? He couldn't stand those movies. Anyway,
which is so funny. Yeah, but he did such a good job. Like the scene where he's talking about the Clone Wars in A New Hope, and you have to think people in 1977 are sitting there thinking like,
what are the Clone Wars? What is this?
Wars?
What is he talking about?
Probably throughout the entire original trilogy, they were asking that question and like never gets answered. And so that's super cool to see. But Obi-Wan throughout the Clone Wars, his story is incredible. And it's because of his story in the Clone Wars that everybody was really hoping Rey would be a Kenobi because he has like a little love interest and all this crazy stuff. And he's also Anakin's mentor. And it's partially his fault that Anakin turns to the dark side. Debatably, he doesn't support him enough. He doesn't train him well enough. He doesn't let him be himself. He sticks to the strict, like imagine he stands up in the council when they say like, no, we're not making you a master. And Obi-Wan says something like, I think we should potentially make him a master.
Qui-Gon would have stood up.
Qui-Gon
put all of his chips in Anakin and didn't give a rip about what anybody said.
And yeah, I think Obi-Wan's character, it's almost like I said, almost entirely because of Ewan McGregor. It's an incredible. I'm so excited for Obi-Wan. If it does well, I think it will cement him as my pick on this list. Debatably, I think Luke should be number 2. Obi-Wan is my number 2 because he's freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi, like you said with Darth Vader.
That's a great pick. I love that.
That is indeed.
Love that.
Who composed the soundtrack album to the 1977 film Star Wars? You already started to say it.
John Williams.
Yep.
Yeah, that could be a whole nother conversation. What John Williams was able to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
the guy's a freaking wizard.
You've seen the scenes where they like take out the music.
Yeah,
it's probably
pretty bad.
Funny.
What's really interesting is George Lucas always said that he wrote those first 3 movies to where if it was a silent film, like not silent, but without any dialogue, you could still understand what was going on. And if that's true, it's because of John Williams' score. John Williams' score.
Oh yeah.
Is so good, so powerful. But let me go ahead and get to my number 2 because we'll go off on another tangent. My number 2, this was the most this guy's got to be on this pick, or this guy's got to be on this list pick of mine, and it's Solo. It's Han Solo. He's Han Solo is probably, I would say he's the coolest. I think Han Solo is the coolest Star Wars character. And again, I didn't really care about you as a character unless you were a Jedi, but Han Solo shows up, and I think here's the reason why I think he's so cool and he's so beloved. It's because he's the most like a normal human than any other Star Wars character.
That's true.
And when he kind of, because it's really funny, if you watch A New Hope and you pretend that your point of view character is Han Solo, you would probably be thinking a lot of the things that he says. He's kind of like, what the heck is going on? He's like,
all this wizard stuff.
I don't believe in y'all's weird religion and all this kind of Force stuff. He's like, I'm just trying to get my money, like get my bag and get out of here. This chick is kind of cute. I might stay with her. I don't know, that kind of whole thing. But deep down, because he has this mask of selfishness, but deep down, he's such a selfless character. And that's really why I have him so high on my list, because Luke doesn't do what he does if it wasn't for, in my opinion, if it wasn't for his friendships with Han Solo and with Leia, and particularly Han Solo, because Han Solo really stuck by him when he really had no reason to, but he kind of just was drawn to him in this way. And this pick doesn't really come anything from the sequels, because you could say what you want about how he was handled in the sequels. That's totally fine. Disregard him. But this is just based off of 3 movies alone, and then his solo movie. But he's such a really great character. You could go so many directions with his past, and they already kind of have, obviously. And I'm a sucker for the buddy cop best friend thing with him and Chewie. I love the fact that he's like one of the only people that can speak Chewie's language. And so he always communicates with them and stuff like that. But true. Han Solo, he just had to be on this list. And I have him so high because when I think of Star Wars, Han Solo is like right there. Like I think of Han Solo as one of the main pillars of the, even when he was being annoying, like even when he was being a douchebag, he was like, you still loved him. He was just a great character. So Han Solo is number 2 for me.
No, that's a good pick. And he is like, literally, if you just say Star Wars, probably like a picture that comes into most people's minds is a picture of like Chewbacca, Han Solo, Luke, and Leia, like all in arms with each other. Yeah. That's like, Han Solo probably he should be on my list, but I would say like if this was most loved characters or like my favorite characters, he'd probably be on the list. He'd definitely be on the list, and he's easily number 11. And like like I don't know. I was thinking I didn't want to have like a super basic list, was partially, but Han Solo's iconic. Harrison Ford realistically is the best actor in the original trilogies by far. Like easily. Yeah.
And especially like what he was able to go on and do after that. Yeah.
Like what he did with the character too was just so like, I feel like Han Solo does not, similar to Obi-Wan Kenobi, Han Solo is not as incredible of a character if it wasn't for Harrison Ford. And like,
that's true.
Like obviously George Lucas wrote a cool character, but like he basically is Indiana Jones, but just in outer space. And instead of being like a professor, he's, a like scoundrel bounty hunter kind of guy. Yeah.
I could talk about Indiana Jones for a while.
Like Indiana Jones. Yeah. But Solo should definitely be in top 10. My thoughts, I was really
Luke's gonna lose sleep over not putting Han Solo on his
list. I just don't know where I'd put him, because my mind immediately went to, I'm thinking
probably
like
in place of Osaka,
all of Star Wars, and I don't know. Ahsoka's character is so good.
Well, to your point of picking a most loved list, that's what's fun about what we're doing, is that these lists are subjective, of course. Hearing you guys can go back and forth about favorites or whatever is awesome, but that's the beauty of us making our lists. But yeah, so let me ask another trivia question real quick. Who was the spy within the First Order in the Rise of the Skywalker?
Couldn't care less. I know who it is, but still don't care.
Oh yeah, it's Huff. Is that his name?
Yeah, Hux.
Hux. General Hux. Yeah.
Nice, good job. I thought maybe asking.
I love how he was still. I still know the answer, but I could literally care less.
I'm really not this critical with so many things. I just don't care. I'm super laid back and literally chill. But the sequels are one of the few things in my life that has irked me to no end. I'm so disappointed.
Dang.
Oh man. All right. Well,
Sorry,
Luke,
yeah.
let's hear your number one, dude. I think I know
All
what
right.
it is, but let's hear it.
My number one, which I thought was going to be a pretty like unanimous, undebated number one. I'm curious to hear what your number one is now. Is I also kind of cheated. I put Anakin / Darth Vader.
I figured you did that once.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm cool with it.
You're cool with that.
Yeah.
In my again, if you're an OG person, I said they would mostly say Luke is number one or Darth Vader, but he was the bad guy. And that was back in cinema where like the bad guy is not necessarily, you're not thinking of him more so as like a cool character.
Right.
Big people in film were, but like your average viewer, like I know my mom and dad were always like, I hate Darth Vader. Like they love to watch the movie and they know he's a really cool bad guy, but in their minds, like the whole point was like, I hate Darth Vader. But so that's why OGs would probably say like Luke is number one. Anakin, Darth Vader, that is like I said, perceived Luke Skywalker is Star Wars, but really meta narrative, the story of Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. That's partially why I don't like the sequels. They should have ended it where they ended it, because that is the penultimate event, is the chosen one fulfilling what he was supposed to do, bringing balance to the Force.
Yeah, that's true.
And it like Anakin's storyline, that's it. That's Star Wars. That is literally Star Wars's point, and its entire story is chosen one, like downfall, crazy redemption arc, like just the most wild, like you don't even know it's a redemption arc until it happens, and then you're like, wow, you look back on it and it's incredible. Hayden Christensen, debatably, like at some points he did have rough acting, but I don't think it's as rough as some people. I think like I would fault George Lucas for it a lot, but he was acting.
It's pretty bad in Attack of the Clones. It's pretty bad.
Let me explain. The way that they were telling him to act was as you are the most powerful person in the universe, but you are being told by everyone around you that you can't use that power, that you have like, so Anakin is supposed to be walking around kind of looking like he's constipated. Like that's the point of Anakin. So you can debate like Hayden Christensen looked awkward, looked kind of goofy, but he was acting exactly how he was being told to act. Like he was following directions to a T and acting like somebody who has all this insane pent up power and energy and emotion and is being told you are not allowed to use it. You have to walk around with a stick up your butt and act like everyone else. He's more like, if there's a whole bunch of other theories, but like debatably, if like Qui-Gon Jinn was training him at this point, even in Attack of the Clones, Anakin should already be the most powerful person. Like he should be, but he's being held back. And so that's how Hayden Christensen is acting. I think they freed him up a little bit in Revenge of the Sith to be like funnier. But I'm also thinking Anakin of the Clone Wars, which is one of the best storylines ever. It's so good. Like the whole story of the son and the daughter and the father. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but there's like
pieces.
Like absolutely phenomenal. Anakin is the chosen one, and he kind of does bring balance. There's also that whole debate of like he does bring balance to the Force because there's not enough dark side, and the idea that balance in the Force, which doesn't really work in real life.
It doesn't really make any sense if you think about it.
Balance in the Force is enough dark and enough light. So debatably the Force and him like killing all of the Jedi, he balanced the Force in that way, but then it got too much to the other end. He balanced the Force. I don't like that theory. I like it more so of like he had a downfall and he ends up balancing the Force still. But yeah, and Darth Vader like is Anakin Skywalker, so I included them together. Obviously we talked about him, most iconic, potentially one of the most iconic just characters, film characters of all time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many modern villains were, they were inspired by Darth Vader.
Oh, yeah.
And all of what he was able to do and everything. Yeah, dude, I don't hate that pick at all. That's fantastic. That's great.
I like it too. Dude, da-da-da-da-da. We are to Jacob's number one.
Do you have a guess of what it is, Luke?
I'm trying to think of who you haven't said. Have you said Obi-Wan yet?
No.
Okay.
hasn't.
If it's not Obi-Wan, I'd be shocked.
My number one is Ahsoka. No.
Yeah.
Osaka.
Osaka. No. Dude, here's the thing.
It's not Obi-Wan.
This is not
He's about to say
debatable,
Rey.
in my opinion. This is not debatable at all. Because I said at the beginning of this pod that my number one is not only my favorite, but I also think is the best. Obi-Wan
Okay.
is the best Star Wars character by far. And so go ahead and, like, to your argument, Luke, if you're talking about what they do for the story and all that, like, yes, obviously Darth Vader is like, and slash Anakin, yes, obviously they would be number one, but who is better than Obi-Wan Kenobi? I had to hold my tongue when we mentioned that this episode is dropping on the same day as the series. Dude, I am like
You're hype.
out of my mind about this
I'm so stoked.
series.
Literally,
Because
I'm having a watch party with friends.
dude, I bought a
you
shirt.
actually?
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So Obi-Wan Kenobi, best all around. Like, he is the best all around Star Wars character because he is always good. He has so much power, but he never lets it turn him to the dark side, even though there's multiple chances for him to. What's so great about that infight in the Phantom Menace is Obi-Wan is so young. He sees his master get killed, and instead he's clearly angry. You can see that he's angry, but the reason he wins is because he basically gets thrown off that thing and he's dangling there because he let his anger go too much and he got beat. He got outwit, but then he hones in and he uses the Force. He's just fantastic. And I'll tell you the main reason why he's on this list. And I can't tell you all of the main reason because it'll spoil another episode. But like I said, Anakin is the most powerful Jedi in Star Wars. And Obi-Wan, as an old mentor, still beats him in Revenge of the Sith. And I think that is so awesome. And Anakin summed it up best in that movie when he's talking about Obi-Wan and he says he's as wise as Yoda and as powerful as Mace Windu. Why is Obi-Wan not in charge of all of the Jedi? He's clearly,
because he's humble. He's so good.
Yes, but there you go.
He's really so
he's extremely humble. He's extremely wise. He likes to have fun. Ewan McGregor, I mean, you said it best.
Can't argue.
And Alec Guinness as well, but more for my age and me growing up. Ewan McGregor, especially in Revenge of the Sith. Oh my goodness. And in Attack of the Clones too. I think he's a little too like stick up the butt kind of, mentor in Attack of the Clones. I feel like he's always getting on to Anakin, but Anakin is always looking at chicks super weird and, saying that he loves them and stuff. So I don't really blame him, but Obi-Wan is the best. He's the best fighter. I think if Anakin's a good guy, I think Anakin would beat him. But because Anakin was using anger as his primary force, Obi-Wan beat him because Obi-Wan is the best fighter. And when I heard that we were getting a show about Obi-Wan watching over Luke as a kid, and then I read a synopsis when they first released it. And I remember reading it and I was already super excited. I'm reading the synopsis and it's like, this story is going to be about when Obi-Wan was watching over Luke in Tatooine. And then it said something about Jedi hunters and how he has to protect. And I was like, dude, I'm so sold. I'm so freaking sold.
Have you watched Rebels at all?
No, I haven't.
So Rebels is a little tougher to watch because it's really cartoony.
Right.
But the story, phenomenal. So good. Obi-Wan's in it a lot. Well, no, Obi-Wan's not in a lot. But he's in it.
He's in it, yeah.
That's where the conclusion, even if you don't, you should just look up on YouTube. I would recommend for Star Wars knowledge, looking up on YouTube, Obi-Wan killing Darth Maul in Rebels, because that's the end of Darth Maul's story is actually in Rebels.
Okay. And
it's just a 10-second little thing, really, but it's so good. Yeah. It's it hits you hard. And also Ahsoka and Darth Vader, YouTube Ahsoka Darth Vader fight, one of the most emotional, which is sad because it just wasn't portrayed well in the prequels, his relationship with Padme.
Right.
One of the most heartbreaking on-screen moments of Star Wars is Ahsoka fighting Darth Vader in Rebels.
But that kind of goes to my point of why I love that fight at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that's
because it's so
really
emotional,
the most heartbreaking moment. Yeah.
And literally my three favorite parts of the fight. I'm sorry, but they're all Obi-Wan, right? And my first favorite one is at the beginning, right before they fight, and Obi-Wan is like, does not want to fight him, but he's so honed in as a Jedi. He's like, I'll do what I have to do. He's like, I'm gonna, and he basically plays defense the whole fight because Anakin is, so angry. The other favorite moment is when they're floating in the lava and they're kind of looking at each other, and Obi-Wan just looks at how evil Anakin is.
Yeah.
And he's just like, dude, I failed you. Like, this is all my fault. Like, it's totally my fault. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And again, and I'm going to say this, and I held my tongue earlier. I've said it a million times. Anakin's the most powerful Jedi. Obi-Wan trained him. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. And
debatably, if he trained him better.
I know. I get it.
No,
I get it. But that's what's so great about Obi-Wan is because Obi-Wan knows that. Like, Obi-Wan knows that he should have done better.
Yeah.
And he puts it on himself. He's just a great character.
Yeah. That's where I say again, like, I think that's a good pick. That's like, I mean, I had Obi-Wan number 2. So I put him above Luke and everybody like that too. I think Obi-Wan's portrayed.
He's a better character. I'm sorry.
Portrayed, I would say Obi-Wan is the best character that is portrayed in the films. Okay. Obi-Wan, yeah. But the overall, like the actual story that I feel like is trying to be communicated, the story that exists, Anakin's like the most important and debatably the best. It's so heartbreaking. His life sucks. His life sucks, dude. And he still finds a way, if you think like entire saga wise, he still finds a way through Luke. Like he has that little heart moment with Luke. And you don't realize how deep that is until you watch him kill children. Where you're like, him coming out of the dark side because of his child is unreal. Unreal redemption arc. But it's Obi-Wan, huge. I feel like especially on screen and just thinking movies and even the Clone Wars really, Obi-Wan's probably the best portrayed character.
He's good, man.
Wow.
That's it.
Well, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was top 10 Star Wars characters. Why don't you guys go ahead and go through just your top 10 real quick, starting with Luke, and we'll go from there. Maybe if you guys want to list a couple of honorable mentions along the way, you can do that as well.
Should I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my number 10 was Han Solo. No, just kidding.
Change his list.
Brutal mentions: Han Solo, Lando Calrissian, Chewbacca. Phenomenal characters. Also, if I could name one non-canon character, well, that's even hard, but one video game character, Star Killer from The Force Unleashed, Sam Whitaker, incredible. Same guy who plays Darth Vader or Darth Maul in the Clone Wars.
Okay,
that's an incredible game. My number 10 was Jango Fett, Boba Fett. Then I had Mandalorian, Qui-Gon, Yoda, Palpatine, Darth Maul, Ahsoka, Luke, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Darth Vader.
Nice. My number 10, I had Qui-Gon Jinn, the Mandalorian, Yoda, Anakin Skywalker, Rey, Luke Skywalker, Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, Han Solo, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi. And a couple honorable mentions. You said some of them. I would just say Mace Windu's up there for me.
Mace Windu.
Padme, I really like. R2-D2.
I was going to say R2-D2 or like C-3PO. You guys didn't mention.
Do not say C-3PO.
That's right. Those would be iconic though.
Yeah.
For sure. Darth Maul I had as an honorable mention. I also had Count Dooku as an honorable mention. I think it's kind of cool that he pretends that he's not a Sith, but he really is, but he's actually really powerful. He almost beats Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin both in their primes at the same time. I think that's a little underrated. Well, he does beat them in Attack of the Clones, and he almost beats him again in Revenge of the Sith, but I think he's a cool character, and Christopher Lee is great. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Nick, why don't you close us out? Maybe get some plugs out there and all that kind of stuff, because they have not heard your voice enough this episode.
Yeah, this was quite interesting. I will say now, I definitely want to go back and maybe rewatch some of these Star Wars.
We'll watch them all, because when we rank the movies, you've got to do that list with us.
Okay. All right, sweet. That'll be my task. But yeah, like Jacob said, we do have some plugs. So again, that would just be Instagram. That's probably where we're going to be most active. We like to do polls on there sometimes. Get your opinions. We've done a listener's pick where we actually picked somebody's suggestion off of Instagram. So definitely go hit us up on Instagram. Then we're on Twitter as well. And then if you want to send a long email about what you think about Star Wars, you can hit us up at therankers@gmail.com. And then also we are on YouTube. So we are broadcasting through Zoom, recording through Zoom. So if you want to go see our beautiful faces, you can do that on YouTube as well, or just another platform. And then of course, obviously you're probably listening to this on Spotify or Apple Music, which friendly reminder to always like us and review us with 5 stars, because that would be amazing. But yeah, those
You're
are
gonna
the
get a bunch of
plugs.
1 stars this episode.
Yeah.
Like,
No, these
I
guys
don't
are
know.
nerds.
This was a well. I know that Jacob's. What?
They're gonna be like, bro, you don't have Han Solo on your list. And then they're gonna be like, bro, you have Anakin Skywalker at number 7. What is wrong?
This Luke is gonna text us at like 3 a.m. and he's gonna be like, "Yeah, guys, I'm still up thinking about the fact that I didn't put Han Solo on my list."
I feel like though, with people that I talk to who like Star Wars, are like, everyone's different. Like I feel like there's not a lot of people that always like agree on everything, but you guys actually tended to agree. So
our top of the 10, our first 3 or 4, we were vibing.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, this has been a fun pod. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be looking forward to the next one. You guys have anything final remarks?
No, I'll just say, Luke, thanks so much, dude. Thanks for coming on the pod. You'll definitely be back.
Thanks for having me.
He'll be back for the episode.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a lot of fun to have your insight and to go back and forth with you some. We appreciate it, dude.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. We'll see you in the next one.
All right. Peace out.